quite interesting going on Twitter or X today and seeing the responses of people as the British judicial system is handing down quite severe penalties to people involved in the riots. One notable difference here is how Americans have responded to the news and how Brits have responded to the news. Many Americans seem pretty outraged by all this. That may be because they see freedom of speech as a fundamental value and they don't like the state interfering in things. Now, the establishment left seem to be stating that liberty-loving Americans are like this because they're pro-conspiracy theories and they don't care about disinformation. However, personally, I think it's more to do with the fact that they don't trust the government controlling narratives. However, of course, if someone has broken the law, the police have a mandate to act. However, many people seem concerned because some of these sentences seem pretty heavy duty. Among them is Elon Musk. On your screen right now, you can see the sort of things that Elon Musk has been posting, from defences of freedom of speech to semi-humorous, semi-serious memes about the present political situation in the UK, which he seems to be quite concerned about. This has led to Elon Musk being in something of a war of words with Keir Starmer. Now, we can't tell exactly what Keir Starmer's thinking, but we can get a good idea from his biographer. Here he is speaking on Newsnight.
But there's a sort of silly argument sometimes about free speech, and Musk is sort of trying to pretend sort of freedom of speech is some absolute right. It's never been an absolute right. And we have regulation. The BBC is regulated. I think the BBC is better for being regulated.
Now, he is technically correct here. We don't have an absolute right to freedom of speech in the UK. We have what's known as a negative right to the freedom of expression. However, the obvious concern here is when he starts talking about regulation with the BBC in mind. After all, do you trust the BBC? There have been so many scandals now, I'd be surprised if even half the country does. I don't know about you, but every time I see BBC Verify pop up, I just think it's another opportunity for them to affirm their socially liberal worldview. So the point here isn't that disinformation is good and we shouldn't care about it. The point is, who does the regulating that we actually trust to be impartial?
I don't think we have enough regulation of the press. I think the press is worse for not being regulated. Social media is just another form of media, and for too long, people in that sort of internet world, this whole idea of freedom of the internet, they've thought that sort of somehow that this great technological change can go through without touching the sides of democracy. I think democracy needs to sort of reinsert itself.
Two very important things here. Is misinformation online a serious issue that we have to deal with? Yes. However, I'll tell you what's a lot worse than disinformation, and that's when a government body controls the narrative the public are allowed to read and hear. And this leads me to the second point. This is concerning when you listen to him say this.
They've thought that sort of somehow that this great technological change can go through without touching the sides of democracy. I think democracy needs to sort of reinsert itself.
What does he mean here by democracy? Democracy, as I knew it, was the freedom of political actors to express their views, and then the one that's the most popular with the public gets voted in. However, that's not what he's talking about. What he's talking about is some sort of government bureaucratic control of social, online and print media. And we're just supposed to trust people like Keir Starmer to implement this equally across the board, even though he hasn't been in a month yet and he's already got the nickname Two-Tier Keir. Now, as I say, I understand misinformation is a problem and it has to be dealt with. That's a noble aim. However, there's a serious issue here about making the treatment a lot worse than the cure. One of the reasons online media is very useful is because people get to see the opinions and realities that the BBC, The Guardian and Sky News just won't show the public. We've entered very precarious times. Do let me know your thoughts down below and do consider subscribing to the channel.